Hey, how's it going, everybody? So, it's been a while since I've done one of these streams. By the way, let me know how I'm doing when it comes to audio. Uh, Generally, I don't stream that often outside the podcast, so I always have to. Oh, oh, well, I know the stream's running on the on that end. Generally, I don't do streams outside the podcast. Just I've been so busy in the last year or so. So good. Already see audio is good. Um, so yeah, I just kind of figured I would jump on here. I kind of wanted to get this series back going again, especially after how fun it was last year to do with you guys. Uh, so I'm gonna probably do more of these, and basically what we're gonna do today is I want to thank you guys for hitting 50,000 subscribers because all of you in the chat, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be hitting 50K. Um, and I think that you guys deserve to have some recognition for it. I don't think it should be something that's squarely just about me. Seeing how, I mean, it's you guys that did the subscribing and have watched and have done so much for this channel. So today, I see we have a super chat. I will address that in a second. I'm just gonna basically keep an eye on the chat. We're gonna talk about whatever. If you want to ask me about videos coming, if you want to ask me about different stuff going on in racing now in the past, whatever. If you want to ask me about stuff outside of racing altogether, go for it. Ask me anything. I might say no to some stuff if it pushes any boundaries too far, but in general, let's just have some fun. I'll stay on for probably about an hour. I'm actually gonna be spotting for Darian tonight on IDK's stream because it's, I believe. Let me check my subscriber tab. I believe it's like the 2022 Geico 500. That's right. So I'll be spotter Iceberg tonight. But looking at that first super chat from Metscast, thank you for the $5, man. Says best NASCAR race you didn't watch live, aka races from the past you love watching. Also 50K hype. Well, thank you for the hype, man. Um, God, races. I mean, the 1992 Hooters 500 has to be like the go-to for everybody. I think anybody who's like younger than 30 has to think that race. I mean, so many people say it's the greatest race ever, but at the same time, uh, I would say because I started watching in 2005, I'd say the 2003 Darlington race, the one with Craven and Bush at the end, that was one that I really wish I would have been watching for. But at that time, I think I was 5, turned 6 later that year, so not really. Iceberg Indy Racing League. No, I just like to call it IRL just because it's pretty fun. It's a catchy name, honestly. Spotter Jared, I like that Eddie. Oh yeah, I like that might catch on. Jeremiah IndyCar videos. So I think I've done two. One on Danica and I think one other. I'm trying to kind of branch out into other racing series. Yesterday I did a video on the Whittington brothers, and while they did a few NASCAR races, it was generally IMSA and the Indy 500. I want to get out of doing videos about IndyCar that are just like Danica Patrick centered or Indy 500 centered because like everybody talks about those already, and I find that just kind of at this point I'm kind of bored with talking about the same thing. And I don't get me wrong, like I might live stream during the Indy 500 this year in Monaco and those big races just because it's fun to share that with people. But at the same time, it's like I would like to go in more depth with IndyCar. I see what David Land's been doing the last couple of years, and it's really intrigued me. I think it was actually on this sort of little series here that I asked him what to do, like what races to watch. So maybe I should do one of those. Um, and I see what Darian's doing with it, and I if I didn't have so much going on at home, I'd have the opportunity to do that. Who's my favorite NASCAR driver? Dale Jr. All the way. All through here, there's a bunch of Earnhardt stuff everywhere. Um, so love my video on Little Tykes. Yeah, that was for April Fools. I just like to do some fun ones, man. They're just everyone always does NASCAR stuff. I'm like, I might as well just do something a little different. Me and Eric should come to the Chili Bowl this January. That is on the agenda. tentatively. Tentatively, I do want to go to the Chili Bowl, and I want to go to the Snowball Derby. But it's just so much. There's so much stuff between then and now. Oh, hey Taylor. How did I come up with the name the Iceberg? This is always a fun one. So I'll go with the short version first, and then kind of expound on it or expand on it. The short version, it's a nickname from high school I got when I played football. The long version is that uh, I was like sick for one of my games once, and I believe it was like seventh or eighth grade, so it was maybe a little before high school, and I'd been sick for it, and so I was like, yeah, I've just got like kind of a cold lingering after it. I said that to my coach, and my last name being Lundberg has the berg on it. So he's just like, oh, is that right, Iceberg? And it just sort of caught on. And I had that name through high school in in football. I had it after I quit football and went to cross country. My friends had my contact as Iceberg in their phones in high school. Like a lot of people only knew me as that. And so like I made the channel in 2015 as just a throwaway one. I had never really thought I was going to make anything of this. I'd actually tried on a separate one back in 2013. And I actually put my face on those videos. I think the biggest one, I want to say the biggest one got like 1,000 or like 1,800 views or something. Um, but I deleted those because it was really cringe, and I was literally just copying what Bob Pockris and Ryan McGee and everyone at that time was putting out there. Um, how old am I? 24. I'll be 25 in November. There you go, Ultimate Dragon. You're right. Kind of like how Instigator had stuck for a bit. I give you credit. That was a good one. Like that had a ring to it. I'm glad you were a good sport about it though, and I'm glad that all the petty BS that led to that I've stopped doing. But that was good. Like when I watched that initial video, um, I was genuinely belly laughing when it would pop up instigator alert on the top or bottom. Um, and I mean, I don't have to do my cussing abstinence on the IRL stream. I was a little shit back then. I was a bit of an a-hole. Um, Oh, thank you for the $10. Diversus Connor for 9.99 says, "Serious. I have friends all over the world, and when they hear the prayer before races, they feel weird. Do you think they'll ever stop praying before races? To me, an atheist, prayer seems cringe." Um, so I kind of have like two different thoughts on that. For one, I myself, I really don't go to church by any means. I really, that's just not my deal really anymore. But I also look at it in the fact that a majority of NASCAR fans are in the Southeast, and at the same time, majority of the drivers and competitors, media, I pretty sure lean, Christian and generally in that same direction. And I would say that, like for instance, there are prayers before like NFL games and NBA games. They don't show it on TV. So I think that would probably stay long term, but I can see a day, especially with how the sport's kind of trying to branch out into different worldwide markets. I could see a day where they don't show it on TV anymore, um, just because of changing demographics and the fact that, you know, different people around the world believe in different things, and NASCAR and the broadcasting networks probably long term won't cater just to that southeastern audience. Um, but I personally have no problem with it. I just don't really I don't take too much attention to it, to be honest. I just try to stay respectful. But I can see where people would feel uncomfortable with that. And thank you again for another 10. It says, non-serious. If I ever see you at Road America, could I get a pic with you and the boys? Don't want to be weird if you're not into it. Oh, no, go ahead, man. Anytime. That's actually like taking pictures and talking with people, especially talking. I love talking with people. You can probably tell. Like, I'm gonna sit on here for an hour and just talk into a camera in an empty room. Um, so yeah, anytime, man, anytime. I'm gonna be at Road America this summer. a lot of people know, but just for those who don't, I at the moment live up in northern Illinois, so I'm only like 2 hours south of Road America. And even though I'm moving, I'm going to be coming up here in the summer to celebrate the Fourth with my family. So yeah, and anytime. I know Darian's going. I don't know about Danny, and I don't know about Eric. Um, I think my girlfriend might be with me. I don't know. That's up to her to decide. She's in the chat right now, so if I say the wrong thing, she'll tell me. She'll tell me. Well, she actually asked over the span of the podcast my favorite moment, and man, interviewing Steve Phelps or Mark Martin, because both of them were so genuine and nice people, both on and off the camera, and so open that I'm forever grateful for them giving us that opportunity. And I think I can speak for Eric, Danny, and Darian on that one too, and Slap Shoes for the Mark Martin one. Hey Smoke, how's it going, man? For $5 says I still can't get over the conversation we had in Bristol and the song that every rose has its thorns. Yeah, that was weird. I won't go too much in detail with that because that's just between me and Smoke. But like we had a really good conversation on just life and NASCAR and just everything in general. And it was crazy. Um, Adam Smith, thank you for the 279 Canadian. Says, what video of yours are you the most proud of? Okay, so everyone's probably going to expect me to say the Teresa video. That one I like, but I cringe at. My favorite video I ever made, even though it is not by any means a technical marvel compared to anything else that I make, um, is I would say my favorite one I did is the 2001 Pepsi 400 throwback, just because I had a lot more care for that. I'm not saying I don't care about the ones I make now. I do, like I really do. But it's more like that one for me as a junior fan meant a lot more. So I'd say that one's probably my favorite. And then some of the other like ones, just crazy stuff in motorsports, like the most evil man in racing, or the one I made yesterday. Like those ones are really fun, just because they're so different. Dan Christian, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says your theme song is Strange Animals. Do you watch Steven Crowder? I mean, I used to back in high school. I kind of avoid the political sphere at the moment, but the song and the remix itself is good, and it doesn't have any political connotation. So I figured it'd be something that would set me apart from others in the community. But yeah, I don't really watch too much in the name of politics anymore. Like, it's so divisive, and so people are so ugly to each other with it that I don't want to like I don't want to like add to that, like I barely dipped my toes a little in 2020 into that, both like just on Twitter and on the channel, and it was so uncomfortable. I had stuff off screen, off Twitter, off YouTube, of people just being very terrible, um, and I just I don't want to go through that again, and it's completely avoidable. So I would rather not do that. Um, oh, hey Claudia, it says Danny and I are hoping to be there. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Well, I feel like if we do get you guys up there, like you guys gotta celebrate you gotta come down and see how we celebrate the Fourth. Like Darian last year almost blew his hand off with a firework. That was pretty funny. Oh, hey Gator, how's it going, man? Oh, TVP, you live only an hour from Eldora. Wow, nice. I'm telling you, man. I hope that Eldora gets cup date one day. Thank you, Sai Vlog, for the $5. Is that €5? I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with too many currencies around the world, and I apologize. That's very American of me. What's your thoughts on Miami and Las Vegas joining F1? So the thing with F1 is that right now I feel like F1 is in the same position. Pounds. Okay, thank you, Russ. Pounds. But for me, I think that F1 and is in the same position as NASCAR was at the start of the 2000s, end of the 90s, in the sense that it has the momentum, it has the personalities, it has the marketing. F1 has figured out new age marketing in a way that NASCAR and IndyCar can only dream of. So I think for that it's fitting. I mean, F1 is going to draw in a different audience than NASCAR generally. NASCAR, either if you look at where it's generally based out of, will draw a Southeast United States audience for the most part, and then you can add in probably a bit of Midwest and West. Whereas F1 manages to draw in more of that, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but more of a normie kind of crowd, more of the mainstream crowd that's just going with trends. I personally, and this is kind of going to be my kind of hot take with it. I think that based on trends, and you've seen this with NASCAR, soccer, you've even seen it in small ways with the MLB and the NBA when it comes to the sports market. I think that F1 is going to be this decade's fad. I think that it's going to end, I think it's going to hit a peak, in the next probably 5 to 10 years, and then I think it's going to simmer down. I think that overall motorsports will be lifted up by this, and I do think that when F1 does hit that nice area of audience where it's a comfortable area that it's generally pretty even with for the most part, I do think that the F1 will be much more popular after its peak than it was before its peak. If you look at the ratings and how many millions of people watch NASCAR pre 1998 99, and then you just do a straight line to where we're at right now from about 2018 to 2022, it actually is a very straight line, and you have more people watching NASCAR even at this low state than you do now. So I think that or than you did in the 90s. So I think personally, I think the F1, people were ripping on F1 having 3 different races in America, but people got to remember that America is a huge, huge country. I mean, you look at all the different races in Europe, and Europe for the most part, if you look at those countries as like around, it's generally like these countries are somewhat close in size to a lot of states in the main 48 United States. So, F1 is definitely something that I think everyone in the motorsports sphere needs to watch for. Um, but at the same time, like, I don't want people. I think people are going to get a little caught up in it, and I think that those hardcore racing fans will stay around a lot longer than these normie fans will for the most part. I know I got way off topic, but that's just how I do this. Thank you, PTM Billy, for the 4.99. Do you think Nashville will be better this year? I'm hoping we get a good show so we can keep it on the schedule. Hope to see you guys there. Well, yeah, by that point I'll be living in the general area. I don't want to dox myself too early. But I think Nashville will be better. I'm interested to see how the car reacts on concrete compared to asphalt. Generally, tri-oval cookie cutters, even though it is a mile and a third. I think that this package suits it, seeing how it's more high speed. Um, so I think it'll be a better race. I think that the crowd might be a little less compared to last year, just because it's not the new thing anymore. But I hope it stays on. I don't know whether or not, what capacity I'll be there. I might be in the media center. I might not. But I'll be outside the track a lot. But I do think it'll be better, and I'm hoping it stays on because a concrete tri-oval is so different compared to the rest of the schedule, and I love having a bit of diversity with the schedule and making it difficult week over week for drivers to get into a rhythm compared to how it used to be, where there was like, I think 14.5 mile races at one point in the late 2000s, early 2010s. Opinions of Joey Logano. So this is where the YouTube side of me and the personal side of me before YouTube clashes. Before YouTube, I did not like Joey Logano whatsoever, but I've had the opportunity to talk to him and even like interview him at the track a couple times, and he's a very nice person. He's a complete jerk on the track, but you know, like, he has every right to be. Um, there's no reason Joey Logano shouldn't be a jerk and go for broke against anybody. So I don't dislike Joey Logano anymore. I try to stay. I try to stay as even with every driver as I can nowadays. There's no real driver out there I dislike. I mean, there's drivers that through being in media, you have like some run-ins with, or they have a reputation with them, but not really anyone I dislike. Evan, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar enough with most European tracks to say which one I want NASCAR to race at. I'll leave that to more people who have. I need to get myself better versed in worldwide racing. Any plans for a trip to Le Mans in 2023? I'm keeping that on the table. I know that more than likely I wouldn't be able to get media creds with that, but I could still report from the track, and you know, I'd be the type of person who'd stay up 24 hours to watch the whole thing. Bowman is a championship contender, no doubt. I'd say at the moment he is. It's so even at the top right now. Nobody has really differentiated themselves from the rest. Thank you, Wicked Aquarius, for the $5 super chat. Says, do you think NASCAR will take an approach to doing Sunday night racing? I think they should. I mean, people want more night races, but Saturday night races are so bad for television ratings, whereas Sunday night races have proven time and time again to be good. So I could see early in the year Fox doing more of this. I think Bristol is one just because, you know, Bristol dirt was one that was needed with it. Um, but I can see like Richmond doing it, something to revitalize the track. I can see Monday night racing being the experiment they try. I know midweek racing didn't work for Wednesdays and Thursdays, but those are traditionally not good days for sports media. So I would say that, man, I would say that Sunday night racing is probably something we're gonna see more of in the decade. Thank you, Gavin Adcock, for the $5. Says, hey Jarrett, would you consider doing the 2005 Chicagoland race since it was the race that ended Junior's first winless streak? Uh, I will. I think I one day will cover that in a video. For me, that was the first race I ever watched, on TV that Junior won. Um, so with that, I actually think I might, because I want to start doing race watch-alongs. Um, so I would say that one might be one I might do a watch along with. What I might do is do a video on a certain race, and then later that week do a watch along on it, just so it's like the race of the week kind of thing. Um, and if I've done it before, I might do one on that. Like I would love to do a watch along with you guys for the 2008 Brickyard 400, just for the sheer comedy of it. Excuse me. Um, God. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, if you guys want watch-alongs, let me know in the chat. I got a pen around here somewhere. I'll write. I'll take suggestions. If that is cool with you guys. I always, one thing you gotta learn about me is I always have a piece of paper. Are you worried about copyright strikes on NASCAR YouTubers' channels that might start to happen? You're always worried about it, but I mean, I have people. Well, okay, so watch-alongs, by the way, watch-alongs would have to be before the 2014 Pocono race because NASCAR started showing races on their channel then, and they don't let you do watch-alongs of races um, on their channel, which is their prerogative. But I've talked to people from NASCAR before, from the communications department, among others, who have said that as long as it's transformative and fits in fair use, they're cool with that. Just to make sure it's transformative. There's some races you just can't do. So I see 99 500 2007 Samsung 500. That's a good one. So when I move, I will do a Kahoot stream. I just got to make sure I can figure everything out with my new internet first. 2012 Michigan. Oh, you know a way to my heart with that one. 2012 Quicken Loans 400. I don't know if you guys saw, but NASCAR All Out posted 2007 Aaron's 499. NASCAR All Out posted the 2006 UAW Ford 500 on his channel in 60 frames per second. NBC, especially towards the end of their first run, they would post they would post, or not post, they would broadcast the races in HD and 50 frame or 60 frames per second. And HD at that time was like the big thing. Like I remember 2007 was, I believe 2007 was the first race that was broadcast fully in HD, and it was a huge deal for like everybody because HD back then was like, that was not the standard. It was like, you were living big if you had HD on TV. Of course, that was still like, 2007, that was what, 15 years ago? I won't be able to get all of these, by the way, but I'll go back and copy a lot of them down. So just keep putting them in there, and I will. The one thing that's difficult is a lot of the race uploads are very grainy, or very, I think 480p basically. So that's the difficult part with a lot of these races is you have to find the ones that are really good. That's right, Colin. Nobody had HDTV at the time. Like if you watch some of these old broadcasts from like 05, 06, and they have like the full widescreen version of the race, the ticker only goes like halfway across the screen. It's the funniest thing. Um, so that for me is really funny about how they were doing that. They were NASCAR, believe it or not, with broadcasting in the 2000s was ahead of its time. Can Fox and NBC get to F1 camera quality? I think NASCAR would have to foot some of the bill for them to do that. It would revolutionize the way Fox Sports and NBC Sports covers both racing and in general just sports broadcasting. I will not be in Talladega, by the way, not this Sunday. I might do it in the fall. The thing with Talladega is I would love to do the infield, and I want to talk like urinating tree and 5 points into going into the infield. I would love to see a drunk tree in the Talladega infield on Talladega Boulevard. I will be watching 2009 and 2010 Aaron's 499. 2010 Aaron's 499 and 2010 Daytona 500 are actually on YouTube in great quality. And they were uploaded back like in 2010 in great quality. Um, God, man. I'm trying to read through the chat too while I make sure everything's still good. But 2007 Bristol Spring Race. The thing about the Bristol Spring Race, that first COT race, is that nobody has a good version of that. Like it's worse. It is worse than 480p on every version you can find online. And that's a lot of it's because it was uploaded like 12, 15 years ago. One thing I like to tell people, because I've been watching NASCAR YouTube stuff, whether it's race uploaders, compilation channels like Nixon. Um, I've been watching a lot of stuff on YouTube NASCAR wise since YouTube was a thing, and like around 2006, 7, 8, the big thing. I think it was what's his name, like Race Fan 84. I think was one of them, but he might have come later. But I remember King Curvo, I think, like Cuervo, 88. He would upload races, and because it was so difficult to upload races on like the prehistoric computers that we had back then, it would take like a full race upload would take like in some cases weeks to upload. So what they would do is they would upload videos of races. It'd be like part 1 of 25, and they just upload 8 to 10 minute, maybe sometimes 12 if like later on. They'd upload these sections of races, and so the whole time LP 2008 was a big one too. Um, and you can still see a lot of LP 2008's uploads on other channels. He has like the what's it called, the watermark on it. I will not do my Final Four predictions yet, but I will do that later in the summer, and then also once the playoffs start. I'll do that on the podcast, the latter of those two. But yeah, it was NASCAR YouTube was a different world back in the 2000s and early 2010s. I remember watching. I saw someone ask how I met Eric, and that was through the podcast. But I had watched Eric as early as 2013. Ah, okay, that's right. Spuddy's probably you probably have a better understanding of what happened back then more than me. Says that he got his website banned by NASCAR. Yeah, NASCAR was not as lenient with race uploaders as they are now, but they have gotten a lot better with it. I mean, like I said, I've been able to be in contact with people from NASCAR about it, and as long as you're not claiming it as your own, and if you upload a full race, they pretty much are cool leaving it up. And as long as you are transformative with clips, they're pretty cool with it. So NASCAR is, in a lot of ways, NASCAR is ahead of the game on that. I just wish it capitalized more on it. I think Kyle Larson is in his sophomore slump. I don't know yet. He only got one win in like the first 15 races last year, if I remember right. So I won't say he's in a slump yet. He wasn't like insanely good until later in the year. Master Vix. That's a good one. I pretty much just stick with East Step in your content. Well, thank you. Eric's stuff is top notch. I try to like find different interesting um, topics to talk about. By the way, I'm gonna quicken up the slow mode. I think if I can find how to do it. I've never been great with stream settings. I'll be real, but I I set it that way for the podcast. But normally I don't get very many problems when it comes to um, the IRL streams. Generally, I'm, I get it pretty. You guys are there's the spammers are away, and it's generally pretty good for the most part on these ones. So maybe I can quicken it up for you guys. It just depends. There's so many weird settings on here. So like right now, I'm like looking at the chat right now, and also messing with settings too. There's so much like I wish I could like show you guys what it looks like, but it would end up like crashing the stream. Like it'd just be a black screen. So I'll quicken it up a little bit. That way, you guys can comment a little easier, and spamming won't be as much of a problem still. So there you go, 5 seconds. And if it gets any better or worse, we can always change it. Learn FPS says, love content, man. Love to listen to your vids walking to and from work. So yeah, that's something that I try to do, and I think a lot of YouTubers, a lot of the sports YouTubers I talk to, like a 5 Points Tree, I see Perna does stuff like it too. Is trying to gear it towards you can watch it, but at the same time, if you want, it can be that personal podcast you listen to, every few days or whenever it's uploaded. That's what I try to. That's what I try to emulate a little bit with it, is making it so that you can watch it if you want, but if you just want to listen to it, for the most part, unless it's like watching old or stuff with old races and clips, I tend to, try and make it palatable for just listening. Hey, Bologna Burger, I watch your stuff too, man. Congrats on 50K, well deserved. Well, thank you, man. Your stuff's pretty good too. Your stuff pops up on my feed all the time, so I every time it does, I try to watch it. Pretty good stuff, dude. Subscribe, guys. Subscribe to him if you haven't already. He's got a really good channel. Jonathan, I do not like Notre Dame, Ohio State. Let's see. I do not like Notre Dame or Ohio State for Michigan State. Well, I'm a Notre Dame fan, but not many people outside Notre Dame fans like Notre Dame. Oh, damn. Thank you, Sly Supersonic, for the $26.99 super chat. It says, my favorite out of the fantastic. Iceberg. Don't tell BFM, Danny, or Eric. LOL. Congrats on reaching 50K subscribers. Just got my tax returns today, and you're getting a portion of it. It's not a lot, but you're worth it. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you thinking of me with that. It's always funny with the podcast group, because that's like we've been, it's our 5th year doing it, and it's always funny. Like people in person will just be like, I don't mean any disrespect by it, but I like Danny, or I like Darian, or I like Eric Moore. I'm like, I don't care. Like, it's completely fine by me. As long as people don't get mad at me in person, I'm generally okay with anything anyone says to me, as long as they're not like yelling in my face. I had this one. I think it's time to tell it. It's been 7-8 months since it's happened. So, as some of you might know, I went to Richmond last year to watch Junior's Xfinity race, and it was a doubleheader day, so both of them were there. Well, I got in line to get a diecast to Junior's car, because it was like that. When Junior races, it's the only time I generally try to be just fan mode only. And so I'm sitting in line. Junior's hauler has a pretty big line to it. And I'm sitting in line, and this guy comes up to me, and he goes, hey, are you the Iceberg from YouTube? I'm like, yeah, how's it going? And he just looks straight at me, dead at me, points his finger and just goes, fuck you, and just walks away. And it was the funniest interaction I think I've ever had with somebody at a racetrack. I've never been cussed out at a racetrack before, so it was like, that for me, I felt like it was a rite of passage. It was so damn funny in person. And I apologize if there's any younger ears at home that I might have hurt with that one. I won't go any more with any stories like that. But yeah, that for me. I tell people that story all the time, and they absolutely Uh, they absolutely love it every time. Serious question. Honest opinion or real Radman? Radman's awesome, man. Radman gets too much hate. I like just because Radman is a little more positive about like ignition and stuff and motorsport games. Like I get that like I disagree with stuff he would say, for instance, but it's no reason to ratio the guy. Like Radman has a ton of knowledge when it comes to gaming and racing, and I feel like people give him way too much hate just because he has a different opinion than other people. It's actually kind of similar, and this might sound hypocritical, but it's kind of similar to like stuff with NRF. Like, I think he gets too much hate for having different opinions. There's a lot of times where he'll bring an opinion to the table, and I don't even think of it from that side of it. Like with both of them, I know both of them have feuded together. Um, it's like just because people have a different opinion or are out there with their opinions doesn't mean that they should be absolutely ratioed to hell and back. So I like Radman. I think Radman's a cool dude. I've hung out with him before, had him on the podcast a bunch of times. The guy is a genuinely nice person and is really knowledgeable on what he talks about. I think that it's just sometimes he says stuff outside of I think sometimes it's stuff outside of the mainstream appeal that people have. And I see in the chat, like I said, it's the same with NRF in a lot of ways, maybe to a more extreme extent. Um, but I like, for instance, because Sly Supersonic says NRF, that's my dude, love him. Like, I disagree with a lot of stuff he says on Twitter, but at the same time, he's saying stuff because he has that opinion on it. He a lot of times backs it up um, with different points of view that I wouldn't have seen otherwise. Just because I dislike what he says on Twitter doesn't mean he makes bad content. He makes really good YouTube videos. Um, so I think in general, like, you know, people just need to stop. People need to stop having such a I won't say a mob mentality, but sort of like I think if we just stop for a minute, a lot of this drama would be avoided. What do you think of him being an Arsenal fan? I'm not a fan of soccer, but I hear it's a world of suffering, and as a Vikings fan, like I can show you right here, as a Vikings fan, and a Cubs fan, like I can relate with that. So I hope they I, I I I hope they do good for him. Uh, Again, I don't want to talk too much about just other creators, just because you never know when clips can be taken out of context and then it starts drama. And I would much rather not start any drama. I think I've done a pretty good job since 2020 of staying out of drama. It's not very fun. Lions going 13-4 next year. I think I might have got those two numbers mixed up, but man, like at least with the Lions, like their suffering is expected. Like they don't get your hopes up. Like the Lions are just gonna suck every year. Like I I I feel bad for you guys. Like you're the only ones in the division that I have never had any ill will towards. Just because it's like, how can you really hate a team that's always third or fourth in the division? And I know as a Vikings fan, they haven't been the greatest, but at least with the Vikings, we've had Super Bowl runs before. There's like in my lifetime, I can think back on different years and be like, God, what could have been? Like imagine being a Jets and Vikings fan in 2009. Well, I was, yeah, 2009. I always say that was the year I became a Vikings fan because that was the first time I genuinely had my heart ripped out, and that hurt. Uh, let's see, Ford or Chevy trucks? My family, as you can see, has always been a Chevy family for the most part. Um, so yeah. All good county line films. I'm not saying everybody, I would never anymore as I used to put everyone in the same group. I don't like doing that with fan bases anymore, but don't need to apologize. As long as you weren't the one doing it. Oh, thanks, Darian. Uh, that's right. By the way, again, if you're just tuning in, and I'm probably gonna go about 20, 30 more minutes. If you're just tuning in, uh, I am gonna be spotting for Darian tonight in IDK's race. So be sure after this to watch IDK's event. I might even be able to go to 6 Central Time. That is. Um, why did you choose to suffer with those of us from Minnesota that suffer yearly cheering for the Vikings? It's in the family. It's a family tradition of suffering. We're masochists. But yeah, Randy Moss and Adrian Peterson, they were beast. Dude. Okay, my first Vikings game I watched from end to end was the Viking Packer wild card game in 2004 where Randy Moss mooned the Packer fans. Oh, that was badass. But yeah, AP, man, dude. When that man wasn't beating his kids, he was one of the best running backs ever. God, that's a horrible thing to say. Um, Jarrett, what do you watch any sports besides racing? I watch baseball a bit with the Cubs, and then football. I watch the Vikings when I don't want to suffer too much, or when I do want to suffer too much, I should say. Suarez is a sleeper this weekend for sure. Yeah, Suarez definitely isn't somebody that I would say is definitely well known as a super speedway guy. So I would say he's definitely somebody who's a sleeper. Those Trackhouse cars are fast. I think the Fords though are going to be the ones to beat. Do you get a lot of hate from Kyle Busch fans? I like you as a Kyle Busch fan, by the way. I don't get much hate from Kyle Busch fans. And again, I won't say this about everyone, but I can say that like Kyle Busch fans are fewer in numbers, but there's some of y'all in that fan base that give Elliott fans a run for their money. And again, no disrespect to Chase Elliott or a lot of Elliott fans, or Larson fans. Larson fans, I was noticing at Bristol were they were very vocal. But no, I don't get hate from really any fan base except maybe like Cody Ware. um, but that's more just because I take the low hanging fruit. How come you don't do the at track vlogs like any of the other NASCAR YouTubers? I feel like it's kind of oversaturated. Eric has his way of doing it. I've seen others do it. Danny does it every time he goes, and I like how he, for Danny's vlogs, in a lot of ways, kind of chronicles different points in our YouTube lives and stuff like that, and so I do like going back and watching Danny's, but it just there's so many people do it that I don't think that in my opinion I don't think I would add anything. Like I might do one if it's like something a different way. Like let's say I got involved somehow with like Mr. Beast, and he got to go to a race, and I got invited with him. Like I'd probably vlog that because how many times are you gonna be going to a NASCAR race with one of the biggest YouTubers out there? Um, if it was something different than just hey, there's the cars on track. Hey, there's the guys I'm going with, stuff like that. I would, but I think it's just like I said. I don't think I'd add anything. Thank you, JS Ski, for the 2 hour super chat. Says, where would you put a second Fontana date? Playoffs? Well, personally, I don't think Fontana should get a second date. I think it's been proven through its history it's better as a one date track. But if it did have a second date, you could probably put it later in the year. So you could probably put it in the playoffs. I think if it's a short track, its date should be moved into the playoffs. NASCAR wants to go to that California side, um, the West Coast side of the country, and get that California audience. So, maybe a half-mile short track auto club, um, maybe half-mile short track auto club season finale. That might be an idea. Thank you, Jar Jar. You says favorite racing moment. Me says Moy Moy Curious. 2012 Quicken Loans 400. Um, Last minute, I got to go to Michigan with my mom, and she took me to that race, and I will openly admit, 14-year-old me broke down in tears when he came by to win. Like a lot of fans, it was funny because like fans were cheering when he came out of pit road and beat Tony Stewart, and then with about 10 to go, it went quiet because everyone knew something was going to happen. I mean, for 4 years, Junior would be in position to win, and something would happen. So then, like with about 2 to go, some people started cheering when he went by. Then when he came to the white flag, people really started cheering. But there were like me and some older people around me who were like just like it could still mess up. Like just I mean, remember at this point the 2011 Coke 600 was only a year ago, so we're like he could run out of fuel on the last lap. It's happened before. I don't know how the hell it would happen, but it's happened before. And so when he came around finally to checkered flag, and you knew there was no way with Stewart being like 6 seconds back that he was going to be able to get caught. That's when like the floodgates open, the emotions hit, and to this day, it's the only time I ever saw my favorite driver win in person. So that will always be my favorite moment. It just sucks. My dad had to work that night, and then he ended up getting called off, so he could have went to the race with my mom and I. We stayed at that. We stayed at the track an hour. We stayed in the grandstands probably 45 minutes to an hour after the race. Let me scroll. I noticed I missed a few of these. What's the most annoyed you've been in a NASCAR race? I'd say Martinsville last year. Like, Darian and I sat in turn two, and again, I don't want to keep picking on Elliott fans for this because I know I make it kind of a meme, but I say it in jokingly. Um, but the Elliott fans at Martinsville, especially in turn two last year, were they were wild. Um, More than I'd seen even Junior and Gordon fans back in the day. Like they were like I remember at one point people like Larson fans went by and they started like there were some of them because there were a lot of them were like college age ones started throwing stuff at them and would flip people off if they were a fan of another driver and that was just, to me that's just too far. It's like between that one and then some of the racist fans um, at Talladega when Bubba won. Luckily there weren't too many people there, but it was still it was pretty bad for the ones that were. But it was funny because the one who was the loudest was a Harvick fan, so I just started screaming, "Bubba has more wins than Harvick," and some other people that were fans of the channel came over. I'm sorry, I apologize. I can't remember your guys' names, but we started like heckling them, and it's just idiots are gonna be idiots. You can't stop them, so you just have to stay above that level. Thank you, Nicholas, for the $2 super chat. Says, I didn't see you go boo for Rowdy. I don't boo Kyle Busch. Actually, at the track, to troll people, I'll like cheer just to troll them. Like I don't cheer or boo any driver in particular anymore, but I love trolling fans at the track. It's so funny because it's like for the most part, NASCAR fans are so chill. I know they won't do anything, and if I have other people around me, I know that like they can get my ass out of that situation if I really screw it up. Thank you, Douglas. Thank you. Yeah. We do a little trolling. We'll do a little. I condone playful trolling as long as you're not a complete jerk to people about it. Like if you troll too much, like that's too much. Um, but I'm not. I like it's part of sports. Trash talk. Trash talk kind of trolling is cool. When you start throwing stuff at people, or you're flipping them off, or like you're cussing in front of kids, like or you're just cussing out at people in general, that's where you cross a line. Um, but yeah, light trolling is cool. Let's see. Oh, the I don't know if you can hear it, but the UFO just likes to all the time. Like it just makes noise, talks to me. That sounded kind of crazy. What's your plan when you hit 100K? Um, I'm definitely gonna do a stream like this, just because I said at the start for anyone who wasn't here at the start, I like to share these kind of moments. Like I know it's kind of cliche and stuff and I can say all the cliche lines like I wouldn't be anywhere without you, which it is true, but it is so cliched now. But I do like to celebrate with people, and I like to put it up so that people can watch it back later, and be able to enjoy it later too. That's the thing about these IRL streams is it could be its own series. Like I've honestly thought it'd be really cool to get like all the stop motion YouTubers together and have like Eric in there, ACS, Misscraft, M&M Cup Series, like just get everybody in there and just have like an awesome conversation about stop motion NASCAR YouTube. In other words, Iceberg knows when to stop because he doesn't want to get Chris Rock. I mean, to be fair, like if somebody came up and slapped me in person, I could just like that I could press charges, like. But nah, I'm not. I'd rather not get slapped in the face. It's not exactly one of my favorite things to do. I want to. Okay, Hazard Central says, Jared, I want to ask you if you're a fan of Monster Jam I was wondering about it because usually you talk about NASCAR, not other motorsports. So I'm always going to be primarily a NASCAR fan. It's just the way I grew up. But I'm willing to get in other stuff. I went to Monster Jam once, I believe, in like 2012, and it was really cool, especially seeing Gravedigger in person. It's kind of like seeing, back in the day, the Blue Deuce, or like seeing the Neon 48 and 24, or the Budweiser 8, stuff like that. It's like it doesn't seem real until you see it. So that was really cool. Hey Jared, I've been a fan of your channel since 2019, and I think you look like Austin Dillon. I've gotten that before. I think I'm better looking. Which Gravedigger did you meet? I didn't meet anyone, but I got to see like the actual truck, and that was cool. I prefer not to kill people at races. That's my least. Llamas with hats. I love that. I love llamas with hats. Carl, that kills people. Whoa, I didn't know that. What about IndyCar and IMSA? I'm starting to try and get. I'm trying to get more into IndyCar. I've watched either recorded or live every IndyCar race this year, and I've never done that before. Like the Indy 5, I like for a long time until I was like 17 or so. I thought the Indy 500 started the year, you know. So I've gotten better at watching IndyCar. I think it's just I got to watch one at a time. There's so many motorsports out there. It's so hard to keep track of them all. Like I said, I've tried to keep track of IndyCar, F1, and NASCAR, and then my grandpa has it on a lot, and I love it when it's on just because of the power behind it. Um, but I love NHRA. Like NHRA is so cool and such an underrated motorsport. Like I believe in June or July, I'm gonna have an NHRA video coming out. Like it might be like I do my normal 4 NASCAR ones, and then at the end of the week, like on a Saturday, I'll do the NHRA video. Lord Voldemort, will you be at the Martinsville Cup fall race? I would like to meet you. Yes, I will. Uh, I'm like 99% sure I will. Kylito Newt Will Power. Actually, Will Power is the driver I saw win at my first IndyCar race last year at the Indy Road Course. But NASCAR is, oh, that's a two-commenter. Well, I like to say I like IndyCar a whole lot more. I'll probably be a fan of IndyCar next year, but NASCAR's gold standard. Nothing will be NASCAR. Yeah, NASCAR is just its own beast. And again, like, there's always going to be that motorsports fans, that first love kind of, where they always are going to love that motorsport the most, and then there's others that you'll like or even love a lot, but it won't be the same as that first one. For me, that's going to be NASCAR. I apologize if I'm a little stuffy. Allergy season has started in the Midwest, and I won't probably sound better until May. Garage tour. I would, but I have all my stuff sort of mounted in a certain way I like it right now, so I won't do that right now. But I mean, if you look behind you, there's like the Never Forget flag back there, Chevy flag as UFO decides to talk a little more. The thing is like the reason UFO is making noise, if you can hear it, is because the magnetism is kind of weakening a little bit in it. So. Does Iceberg have a NASCAR? No, no, no. Body pillows are not my thing. Oh, hey, Cody. Thanks, man. Dude, if you haven't subbed to Cody too, Cody is an awesome dude. He does a lot. If I'm not mistaken, and you can correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, Cody, but you do a lot of like video and photography at like kind of more the Midwest, kind of not local, but just regional racetracks, and like that is such a cool field to go into. Plus, like I always make sure I can watch at least a little bit of the recreation streams on NR 2003. Those are so cool to do. Like they're so cool to see you do them because you can get so close to them. Like there's so many of them that you've done that look so much like the original. So Cody is awesome. Yeah, there's so many of you guys that have jumped in here today. I'm like, God, we gotta get them back on the show sometime. Oh, damn, you're at Lucas Oil Speedway? Nice. That's awesome, man. God, that is that. God, I gotta get out there sometime. I know. Let's see. Ultimate 23 Dragon. I know a NASCAR driver. Plushies were a thing years ago. I stick away from stuff of like cuddling up to a driver. That's just it's just weird to me. The closest I had is I had a Dale Jr. comforter blanket when I was a kid, but it was like this like cream whitish brown color with a giant red 8 in Junior's signature. That was cool. That's right, Tank Slapper. That Rusty Wallace flip was really close. Oh, hi, Dark Crypto. He says hi, Iceberg. Hi. Let's see what else we got. By the way, I wanted to run this by you guys. So like I said, I want to try and make IRL streams a more regular thing. And I won't do it today because I got to get it set up right. But you know the Wayback Machine on online. Well, you can actually go back and look at NASCAR.com back in the day. And the cool thing is that you can see the front page of like NASCAR.com in like 1998 or 2005 or like 2008. But the cool thing is you can interact with it and click on different pages and it'll lead you like to the points page or to articles or to different stuff like that. And I've kind of wondered, would you guys like to see me go back sometime and we just pick out random dates since 1996 and find the closest date that the Wayback Machine has of NASCAR.com? Because I think that'd be like a really cool thing to do to kind of see where the mind of NASCAR writers and like and NASCAR fans were at the time. Like I'm telling you, in 2005, NASCAR.com articles were so opinionated. Marty Smith was on there back then, and that was awesome. By the way, yeah, Cody, I will be at Road America. We're definitely catching up. Like I'm gonna bring Darian. If Danny and Claudia come, I'm bringing them up there. Like we're gonna catch up. Like definitely. Oh, thank you, NRF 18 for being a member for 8 months, man. Which motorsports do you think you have the best overall drivers? I'm gonna sound like such a milquetoast fence sitter on this one, but I think that it depends on each series. Like F1, you could is the easy one you could say, and I think they are some world class drivers. God bless the UFO. I can just hear and feel the UFO shaking, but I'll spin it because people have asked. Um, so F1 is like the easy one that you could always say. You know, F1 is the one that has world class drivers. IndyCar, though, I mean, you saw some of that wreck avoidance at the tests yesterday, and so IndyCar drivers are top notch too. And the NASCAR drivers, I think, are the most versatile drivers out there. They drive on different types of track just about every week now. Dirt tracks now, super speedways, you know, intermediate, short tracks, road courses. So I think it's just a matter of like what skill set you're talking about. But I don't like comparing them that much because they're so different. Like it's like comparing the NFL to the NBA. You know, yeah, they play with the ball. There's teams and stuff. They're the world class athletes, but at the same time, it's such a different skill set needed. When is anybody gonna bring the NASCAR Winston Cup series or another sponsored series? There is a cigarette company with a cigarette company. Well, I think that's illegal now, so probably never. The classic, you know, asked most of her schedule. I think I personally, I'd say NASCAR. NASCAR, when it comes to just how many different types of tracks there are, you can't specialize on just road courses or dirt or short tracks. You can't specialize on one type the way that you can, you know, for instance, like Formula One is, I believe, all road courses. IndyCar is primarily road courses now. So I would say NASCAR, but I'd be open to other suggestions about it. Hey Iceberg, I have a question. This is from Steelers NASCAR Nation Fan 50, by the way. It says, hey Iceberg, I have a question. Can The Rock save Rockingham? One can only hope. I would love to see him race at Rockingham. I just think the problem is there's so many tracks in North Carolina and around North Carolina that you run the risk, especially with less fans than you used to have 20 years ago, you run the risk way too high of oversaturating. It's actually why I'm kind of worried about the North Wilkesboro revival. Like, where are you going to take those fans' attendance from? You take it from the Bristol night race? Because North Wilkesboro is about halfway between Bristol Motor Speedway and Charlotte. So that would be it's very difficult, I think. Iceberg, if you could change the outcome of one race in NASCAR history, which one? Okay, I'll break this in two. Serious, I would, as much as it has brought safety improvements, I would love to see what NASCAR would be like if Dale Earnhardt had lived. So I'd change the 2001 Daytona 500. But if we're just talking just moments, I would want to see in '92 if Davey Allison didn't wreck, could he have won it? Like, he was charging there when he got crashed. He had a horrible race before that. Murphy's Law applied to him. Um, but I would love to see if Davey Allison could have won. Like, I think that would have been, that is one of the biggest what ifs, in my opinion, ever. Hey, Avatar Cora. The Avatar is curious as to whether you would prefer you'd go to have North Wilkesboro or the Fairgrounds back. God. Okay, so none of them raced. NASCAR raced at neither of them when I was alive in the last 24 years. But I personally, because I have more of a connection to it, and especially since I'm moving much closer to it, I would say the Fairgrounds. I think Nashville is a growing market that is very, very open to racing. And there's no disrespect to North Wilkesboro, but it is not the market that Nashville is. Nashville is a growing market. It's a market that, other than people who think there are 5 F1 tracks in the vicinity, is very open to NASCAR and racing in general. And I think that that is a very rare trait for a city, especially a growing city that is sort of becoming in a lot of ways like the heartbeat of the South. Like, that is very tough to find. So I'm going Fairgrounds, man. Like, Fairgrounds every night and day. What if David Rudiman had gotten on pit road in the 2012 Goodies 500? I personally think Gordon and Johnson would have wrecked each other, so I wish he didn't, because Junior would have won. He was in third. Probably. I personally think that, but there's no way we could say for sure. The classic, again, with the question says, what race caused the most pain as a fan of a driver? For you, it was 2020 and 2021 Coke Zero 400s as a Johnson Chastain fan. 2011 Coke 600s up there as a junior fan. That one's tough. 2015 Talladega. That's up there too. Hazard, I already talked about NRF. I think he gets overhated. Good content. Just because he has out their opinions doesn't mean that you should be hated that much. Throwback and patriotic tier ranking blitz. I mean, I'd be willing to do those sometimes. I always like to do patriotic and throwback top 10 schemes. 2005 Coke 600. God, that's such a good race. As much as it sucked with all the cautions, the racing was really good. For you, it's 2010 Spring Texas as a Gordon fan, or the aforementioned 2012 Martinsville. Okay. Again, we'll go a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to jump off here. I need some water. I need something to eat. And I got a spot for Darian in an hour. Where do you see yourself in 20 years as a person? Man, that's a broad question. I hope YouTube is big enough and my platform's big enough that I can keep doing stuff like this. I like having interaction with the community. Personally wise, like, you know, the white picket fence, all that good stuff. I was very upset with my favorite driver, Kyle Busch, wrecked 6 laps in the race when I was there in person. I've been there before where Junior just will drop like a rock. I've never been there. I've never been at a race where Junior is wrecked. I've been at races where he's blown an engine, but I've never seen the 88 or 8 car wreck in person. So that was always cool. Would you consider expanding your content beyond YouTube, like Twitch or Rumble, etc.? So I'm going to try and push a little more on TikTok just because I do like it. Is such a good way to get people our age into NASCAR. I think I can bring something different to that platform. Twitch, I'm not a fan of Twitch personally. I think it hinders a lot of the creators that go on there. Rumble just doesn't have a big enough sports culture on it. There's so many things with these alt social media companies that, like, people always wonder why they fail or why they become irrelevant, and it's simply because they're too political. Like, politics cannot be the only thing a social media platform talks about. You have to have culture on there. You have to have sports. You have to have things that people outside of politics want to talk about. So if there is any social media platform that you want to want me to go on, if it's 80 to 90% political, I'm not gonna. That's just I'm not gonna add politics to this stuff. If politics is a must to talk about in racing, like when the president showed up in 2020, or like in stuff in the summer of 2020, or the Let's Go Brandon stuff, like fine, completely fine. That's stuff that is needed to be talked about in the discourse of NASCAR, but it's not because it's political that I want to talk about it. It's because it's NASCAR. So, like I said, I'm gonna stay as far away from politics as I can, just because it's such a drain on anything that isn't political. Iceberg Discord. I know someone tried setting one up for me. I'm just, again, it's kind of the same thing as Twitch. It's not my thing. Discord has never been my thing. It's too glitchy for me. I get too upset with bad connection on there, even when I have great connection like this. So I probably won't be on Discord anytime soon. Let's see. Imagine if Michael Waltrip won the 2012 Talladega Cup race. He would have, man. He had a run. And it's so funny. It's so funny 10 years later because you can talk about it without people getting upset at you. But like Tony Stewart, I remember Tony Stewart's big thing for years was don't block me or I'll crash you. Don't block me or I'll crash you. And it's like, but Tony Stewart threw some of the most egregious blocks and did some of the most egregious on track acts of any driver, especially of any great driver. Like people want to get on like Kyle Busch about some of the stuff he's done, but then like will praise Tony Stewart for it. It's like no, Tony Stewart had some major f ups in his career. When's the Iceberg OnlyFans coming? Hopefully never. Like never, ever. He dumped the 17 at Daytona, yeah, 2006. Do you remember the 2017 Talladega race where there was like 10 cars left? Of course I do. Because I was rooting for one of the 10 cars left. He made it as high as second by like the last lap, but just damage on the car prevented him from drafting well. Is there a monopoly against other NASCAR YouTubers because the clique of creators have advantages like pit passes and travel perks? Not that I know of. If there's some monopoly or like big thing NASCAR is doing to help only specific creators, I guess I guess I got perks from it, but I didn't know it was a thing. Some creators just don't pursue it. Like that. I think that's a kind of a misunderstanding some people have when it comes to like when myself or Danny or Darian or Eric, um, when we'll get like credentials or we'll go to a lot of tests. It's just with a lot of it, it's just we ask. Like David, same thing. David, he pushes to do it. There's some creators that are fine not getting credentials or fine not getting hot passes, just want to be fans, and that is their prerogative. It's good for them. Everyone has. I think the big thing is everyone has a different goal on YouTube. So for people like me or Eric or Darian or Danny, like for any of the podcast guys, it's to cover it like with actual journalism. Um, but I think it's more difficult to do that than people think, and I think that at the same time, like NASCAR, there's a certain amount of professionalism that you should have in there. If you have like a hard card or like media credentials, like there's a certain amount of professionalism you need to show in there, and some people just would rather be fans with it, and that's fine. You can be in a lot of ways you can be yourself more as a fan, and that's just the name of the culture with it. Did you see that the Garage Guys were on the NASCAR YouTube channel? I did not see that, but they're good guys. Like I've hung out with them before. Like when at the Daytona test this January, me, Darian, David, Kyle, who is Darian's not Darian's David's cameraman, and he also has Racing Nation TV channel, really good channel. And IDK, we all like had dinner with them. They're awesome people. Is NASCAR's YouTube community is it it's or if NASCAR's YouTube community can grow? I want Ty Gibbs to be the most less aggressive driver in NASCAR. Uh, I think Ty Gibbs is gonna be hated for a long time. Like, and it's nothing against Ty. I like Ty. I think he's a good kid. Thanks, man. Congrats on 50K. Thank you so much. Okay, this I know it's the last time I say it, but when we hit 7 Eastern time, I'm gonna end the stream. So if there's any pressing issues or questions you have, let me know and I'll answer them. But after that, we're gonna end it. I actually tried something different on this one. I know that I had the thumbnail up, but it did auto start on the stream, and that was pretty cool. I must start doing that in the podcast more, so there's not as much of a delay. I love Joey Logano burnouts. Joey Logano's good at him, man. Do you think Kevin Harvick pulls a Mark Martin and races to his 50s? No. No, he was supposed to retire in 2020 or 2021, he told Dale Jr., and he stuck around a little bit longer, but he's just, between being there for his son and how grouchy he is now, I don't see him staying that much longer. Thank you, Sabira, for I love you, Iceberg. Keep it coming. Oh, anytime, man. Anytime. Extremely serious and important question from Turd Bender. Nuggies or tendies? Nuggies, man. Friends with Ryan Vargas. Why would I say tendies? They're nuggies. Nuggie reviews. If you end the stream, I will stop watching the stream. Damn. Do you think Kevin Harvick wins another race? I think he gets at least one more. I think Kevin Harvick, you saw it a little bit last year, but he was consistent, so I didn't think it was too much. But you're starting to see the gradual decline. So, have you ever been to a race at the Auto Club Speedway? That's from Race Crazy 95. No, I've wanted to, but I never had the opportunity. Schedule conflicts always got in the way. I did actually stop right next to it when I was on my way to Kansas last year with my dad. We stopped and I took a picture. I think I actually posted the picture on Twitter and Instagram. Imagine if Lionel made Ryan Vargas TikTok diecast. I thought they did, but if they haven't, I've seen people with them. That was a nice car. That was a really good looking car. If you don't go to my funeral, I'm not going to yours. I think that depends on the order. I'll get back to you on that in like 60 or 70 years. Let's see. I'm going to the Coke 600 and Bristol night race this year. Excited to see how the new car works at Charlotte. Charlotte is a big test because, in my opinion, Charlotte's one of the most overrated tracks. I think that a lot of people love it in the industry because it's the home track. But if you can race well at Charlotte, which has been one of my least favorite tracks, I think you can raise that grade I gave from a B to an A- pretty quickly. Sly Supersonic says, not going to happen outside of the question. I'm assuming this is about Kyle Busch getting past Earnhardt. He might get to Dale for 76. But has Kyle Busch topping out around 70? That's around where I'm at. NASCAR Racing Fan 927 says, hashtag Ratatouille is overrated. Eric is not here to get upset over it. Yes, but my girlfriend, I think, is. And so I don't want to step on her toes, especially since I'm pretty sure she's getting dinner ready for me. So I don't want to be a jerk about that. Vargas third in Xfinity qualifying right now. Massive W. Really? Atta boy. Nice. Ryan's such a cool dude. So he was at the Bristol race this past weekend, and I went to the tweet up. And the weird thing is when I go to the tweet up now, like, I have a few. I do have some friends in the garage and in the industry, but it's really weird when like I walk up and people now know who I am, because like I used to go to those like before I was on YouTube, and I'd just be like one of those awkward fans, just kind of sitting there like, hey, is that a driver? But we were talking with Ryan, and Ryan, the thing with Ryan that you need to know, and he talked about it in Eric's interview with him today, he said his strategy for Talladega and Daytona is he just vibes, just vibing. Like, if he qualifies up front, like I'm assuming he'll probably like try and stay up there as long as he can, but if he gets shuffled out, he's just going to vibe in the back. Just going to vibe. I love that. Like, he should have a shirt that just has his car that just says, just vibing. Like, that'd be so cool. Hunter D says this community is so great that the biggest drama is whether or not Ratatouille is the best Pixar movie or not. So there's been plenty of other drama in the past. I'm just trying to keep that kind of drama out. By the way, I'm gonna get off here pretty quick, next minute, two, somewhere around there. So any last questions, super chats, anything like that, I can address them, and then Well, then just go over to IDK's stream and watch that one. Keep an eye on Darian, and well, I'll keep an eye on him too. I'll be a spotter. If he gets in a crash, blame me. So what do we got? Let's get some good ones to end this baby off. Like I might just do a rapid fire. So just spam the chat with as much stuff as you want. I'm completely fine with it. Let's see. Cars the best Pixar movie? No, Incredibles, man. I'm sorry. Like, I like Cars, but Incredibles. Who thinks? Let's see. Before you go, Splendid says, before you go, I just want to say congrats on 50K. I've been watching you since 2020, and the content has been great. Thanks for all the great videos. Thank you, man. Jar Jar, when will NASCAR change the ISA format? Probably not anytime soon, unfortunately, even though I would love to see it simplified. Earnhardt to the top of the charts. Hey, there you go, Larry Mack. Nice. Larry Mack is his crew chief. Jeffrey is running the 3, by the way. Why is Jeff Gordon better than Dale Earnhardt Jr.? Just he's talented. He's really talented. Junior's a great driver too, but Jeff Gordon is one of the best ever. Dale Jr. will tell you that Jeff Gordon's better than him, and that's just being objective. Crazy Player, thanks for 50K. Thank you. Harvick gets a win this year. Yes. Imagine if Jermaine never shut down. They'd still be running around 25th. Larry! I love that. I love that. Dale Jr. wins in an iRacing race upside down. Yes, not only that, but he won on my buddy Moonhead's Moon Car races. So Moonhead's another great. There's so many great creators out there. Like I feel like I've been like shouting out a bunch of them, but there's so many different people that offer great things. So what are the chances Jeff Earnhardt wins tomorrow? I mean, might be pretty good. Black 3 cars tend to do good at Talladega. Let's see. What do you think fans like more, big wrecks or finishes? I'm gonna be real, and I know this is probably controversial, but big wrecks. I think people like big wrecks more now. Like anytime there's not a wreck in a race, people think it's a bad race, and it's kind of sad. Let's see. Just had it. Had to hear it from you, my man. Thanks for your great work. What are your thoughts on NASCAR Pinty's Canada? Have you ever watched it? I like the Pinty series. I've watched it. It's good series. All right, I think that's it. So, 200 career wins for Rowdy. I mean, if we count them all the main series, yes. All right, I think that's gonna be good for the night. Be sure to watch IDK's stream tonight with Darian on it. NASCAR Weekly Podcast, I believe, is on Danny's channel this Wednesday at 7, and then next week, in about an hour from now, 7 days from now. So next week at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we're doing the second annual NASCAR Driver Draft. I know that Darian will be there, IDK will be there, I think Sloppy Joe and Jake Baskinger will be there, and then did I say that Danny will be joining us this year, which will be really cool. And then, maybe Eric, maybe Slab. I don't know. We'll see. We'll try and get a bunch of content creators together, and it should be really fun. So thank you guys so much for me being able to hit 50K. It's been an awesome journey, and here's to, well, I think now we're at 50.5. So here's to 49.5K more. Let's hit 100. Enjoy the weekend, enjoy the race, y'all, and I will see you guys on Wednesday on the podcast. So, bye, guys.